Welcome to the first Phuble podcast. I am Philemon Viennis, one of the founders of Phuble. This podcast is, of course, sponsored by Phuble, which is a social networking platform for investors and designed to allow anyone and everyone to gain knowledge about the financial markets that exist around the world. A quick note, anything that is said on this podcast reflects my own opinions and does not reflect any interests or opinions of Phuble Incorporated. Okay, let me first start by saying I know how intimidating this can be, especially if you're new to investing. It's a lot of new vocabulary that you might not understand. If you have any questions at all over any of the stuff that we go over here on the Phuble podcast, or just any questions at all about like general investing, any terminology like options, bonds, shorting a stock, PE ratio, market cap, that stuff, stock price, how's the stock price determined? Any questions at all, please just email me at philemon@phuble.com. I will put my email in the description below. I think it's so important that people understand financial markets, not only for your own financial security, but it also allows you to be more knowledgeable on just what exactly is happening in the world. It encourages you to stay up to date on events, and that's just so useful for your own knowledge. Honestly, it really is. So just email me any questions, any comments. I'll be happy to answer them. I'll be happy to post explainer videos. I think everyone should have the opportunity to invest. It is such an empowering tool. So that is Philemon@phuble.com. I'll put it in the description like I mentioned before. And we'll get started. We are going to be going over the past week of financial activity that happened and any news associated with that. So let's get right into it. It is almost 1 a.m. Eastern time here, and this whole week was quite unique, but I guess in the world that we live in, nothing is unique anymore. The big story that kind of ended the week was the capture of 2 UK oil tankers by the Revolutionary Guard of Iran. There has been a lot of escalation between Iran and not only the UK, but mostly the U.S. The U.S. recently shot down an Iranian drone that did not seem to go over too well. Now, what does that do for the price of oil? The price of oil jumped, actually. No shock on that. WTI rose today and it is currently rising. It rose just based off that news. Brent also rose on that news. The price of Brent crude oil is currently at $62.47. The price of WTI is currently at $55.63. Now, of course, expect those prices to continue to increase, especially if there is any more escalation between Iran and Europe or Iran and the U.S. Iran does have a large amount of oil, so any kind of escalation, any tension between Iran and the rest of the world is going to increase the future price of oil for sure. In the long term, though, I do not believe that this is going to be that big of an issue. I think it will be settled soon, so expect the price of oil to decrease again, especially since the U.S. is producing a large sum of oil. The next topic, Facebook and Libra. So David Marcus, he's the chief executive responsible for Libra, Facebook's new cryptocurrency that they plan to launch very soon. He testified in Congress this past week. I actually watched that, and it did not go too well for Mr. Marcus. He got completely destroyed, and it's not only because I think the Congress men and women don't really fully understand cryptocurrency and blockchain, but it's also because they do not trust Facebook. So expect a lot of hardships coming for Facebook and their cryptocurrency. Their stock price is currently at $198.36. It'll probably pass 200 soon. This questioning, I assume, had an effect in having a down week for the stock. There's a lot of trust issues, of course, with this crypto. I think they're going to get it released eventually, but it's going to be an uphill battle for them. I think the stock is definitely going to probably bounce back to its record highs that it hit last year, just based off their user growth and activity. I know there's been a lot of users switch off of Facebook and to other apps, but remember they control WhatsApp and they control Instagram. WhatsApp is huge globally, and Instagram is absolutely raking in the users domestically. So they're in a good position. The actual Facebook.com is probably gonna be cannibalized by another platform that they come out with, I assume. And so they don't actually need to rely on the Facebook.com platform. Of course, though, if they manage to get this crypto pushed through, that's going to be a huge, huge momentum shift for the stock. It's going to reach all-time highs if they get this crypto pushed through. But it's going to be difficult. But look for that stock to turn around in the near future. Major news on Netflix. They weren't able to meet expectations on their user growth. I think they fell 2 million users short. Their stock absolutely tanked after that. I think at one point it was down 12% after hours. Then when they released on Wednesday, they were at 362.44. And the current price today, they had another down day. They lost, I'm just seeing this actually now. They lost 3% today. So they are at 315.10 right now. So that is a huge, huge drop off of their user growth. Look at it to open up Monday, probably around 313, 312. It got absolutely crushed. Look, the movie industry is incredibly difficult. Netflix has an advantage because it started making its own content, which is big right now, especially because all of the major studios are pulling their content from Netflix. Disney is pulling their content from Netflix. NBC, Universal is pulling their content. That is because they're coming out with their own streaming platforms. And then, of course, Netflix also has to deal with other streaming platforms like Apple TV and Hulu. But Netflix is in a good position. Their domestic user base has been exceeded, and I don't know. They're definitely oversaturated in the U.S. You're gonna see probably some user decline in the U.S., especially as people start merging their accounts together. They have to go globally now and capture that international audience, which is difficult. It's very difficult to do that. They're going to have to lower their price points. If they can capture that international audience and still produce their own content, I think they'll be fine. Their PE is ridiculously high. I'm at 123.66. Honestly, it's going to be rough for Netflix going forward, I think. Look for them to dip probably below 300. That would be a good price point to move in. It's tough. The movie industry is a tough, cutthroat industry. I mean, you have to spend a lot of money to pretty much just break even. And like I said, they do have that advantage of starting their own content. But, it's hard. They're going to have to lower prices globally. And of course, they probably lost the subscribers domestically because of their recent price hikes, even though it was, I think, like a $2 price hike, which, I mean, sounds like it's not that great of a price hike, but people notice those things. They beat on EPS, which is earnings per share. They had 60 cents versus 56 cents. Revenue was just under par at 4.92 billion versus 4.93 billion. International paid subscriber additions was 2.83 million versus 4.81 million, which was forecasted. So they're definitely having issues gaining users. Let's move to internationally now. ECB has had some major changes in the past month, actually. ECB, for those of you who don't know, is the European Central Bank. So the head of the ECB before was Mario Draghi, and now he is being replaced by Christine Lagarde. They've moved into negative interest rates, which basically means they are forecasting a recession. It looks like we're headed for Economic slowdown for sure. We've already probably entered that on a global scale. Not yet. I don't believe so in the U.S., but it looks like we're headed there. In other news, major indices, the Dow kind of had a stagnant week. It finished the week at 27,154. The S&P finished the week at 2,976. S&P kind of remained flat over this past week. NASDAQ finished the week at 8,146. NASDAQ also kind of remained stagnant this week. Look for these indices to keep going up. I don't think they're going to slow. There's nothing that indicates slowing in the financial markets, at least until probably November, December. Okay, I think that's it for the first Phuble podcast. This was just like a test run. I didn't go over that much. I didn't go over Donald Trump calling the 4 congresswomen racist, and telling a few of them to go back to where they came from and how that affects the market, because it does affect the market. Everything that comes out of his mouth affects the market, whether good or bad. It affects the market. I didn't go over Microsoft. Microsoft is Microsoft is the greatest company in the world. It is. They absolutely blew out expectations. $1 trillion market cap. I wish I put money in Microsoft about a year ago, because I mean they're just on fire, and they're gonna continue. They're gonna pass $200 per share easily, because their leadership team is absolutely just fantastic. I think they still do have with Azure. They still do have a lot of room to run. Their cloud computing is on another level. There's a lot. There's a lot of information out there. I just try to hit the main topics. Once again, if you have any topic you want me to go over, you have any questions, email me. I'm always here. I'll try to come out with podcasts at least twice a week. I was only gonna do Fridays, but as the first one, it's a lot of information to go over. And I only want to do 10 to 15 minutes. Stay tuned, stick with me. I'll get better at these podcasts, I promise. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. We're updating a lot with Phuble, with the platform. The website's gonna be shut down soon. We're coming out with the Phuble app. You can check that out if you want to. It's a great way to collaborate with other people, see what other people are thinking. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next week.